Welcome back to Modern Homestead Alaska. We have an abundance of farm fresh eggs. I am going to share with you several ways to preserve them. Join me today. Welcome to Modern Homestead Alaska. We are Aaron and Jessica Milnes. We are building a modern homestead outside of Wasilla, Alaska, with the help of 3 of our children. Our second son, Caleb, our daughter, Cody Ann, and the youngest of our family, Wyatt, along with our 3 dogs, Tipper and Daisy, and the newest addition, Roberto. All right, friends, we just collected today's haul, and the first preservation method I will be sharing with you is water glassing. Aaron and I talked about it. I watched a bunch of videos, and we have decided, because of the way my pantry is designed, I have an abundance of half-gallon mason jars. I also have 2-gallon pails. However, we are choosing to water glass ours in half-gallon mason jars for a couple of reasons. Number 1 is they are clear and I can see. Because we do get earthquakes in this area, quite little bitty ones frequently, and the potential of getting large ones, I want to be able to see the eggs and not have to open a bucket and kind of dig through and make sure nothing got cracked or jostled around or what have you. So the other reason is if you lose a jar, you've lost a lot less eggs than in a 5-gallon bucket. And the third reason is simply the weight. Everyone that I watched that sort of walked through and talked about issues that they had in water glassing their eggs, they were using large buckets, huge quantities, and then they end up losing them because the simple weight of the egg and the water, the jostling and moving around, it's very heavy. I have to be cautious of, if I'm at home by myself, who's moving that 5-gallon bucket for me? I just, don't have it in me to do that. So that is why we've chosen half-gallon jars. However you choose to do this, the ratio of water to lime is identical. So choose whatever container works best for you. I'm gonna show you, we're gonna get started on this half-gallon jar, and then a year from now, when it's time, you and I, or whenever, throughout the winter, what have you, I'll keep you apprised as how these eggs are doing. Let me show you how to water glass eggs. Now these are tools that you have got to have to do this, in my opinion, and I am not going to give you instructions otherwise, because I just don't want to risk anyone out there, your life or your family, and so on. So we have a kitchen scale. This, a lot of people thought it was part of my countertop, which would be stinking awesome, but very expensive. So it's not. We have it on ounces. We want to bring it to 0. Here's the ratio. 1 ounce of lime. I get my lime from Azure. I was watching a lady, she bought a 50-pound bag of this. Now it's pickling lime, so maybe you've got a bunch of other reasons. I just went with the 1-pound food grade. Let me get that real close. Go ahead and snapshot that. I'll smile so you can snapshot it, right? Okay, Cal lime, and we are going to do, zero it out. We are going to do 1 ounce of this for every quart of water. And that's perfect. Do you see that? In ounces. Okay? So 1 ounce, and then we zeroed out where whatever the bowl weighs. To 1 quart of water. I'm gonna give this a real good whisk, and it will clear up, but the lime never fully dissolves, so you'll kind of see some particles of it but that's no big deal. And then, time for the eggs. Now, you just joined me in collecting this batch of eggs outside literally seconds ago. So what we're gonna look for is, look at this egg. Do you see that they've maybe pecked at it? It's got a crack in the top. The inner lining is exposed. This egg is gonna be breakfast because we want to get that ate and used as quick as possible. There's no good way of storing that without taking it out of the shell. So this one, she goes in. Do not wash. If you can't knock it off of the egg, then it's not an egg you want to use. I've got another one in here that will not go in, that I know for a fact because I can see it from here. Now, mine are real chickens, different breeds. Some are kind of some fancy breeds, and some are just some good egg layers. This one is so warm, but green is beautiful. Perfect. And then this egg has some dried on poo. So it is getting washed this morning, and it is also breakfast. So there we have it. And I will just pop this right back here. I'm choosing to do plastic lid so that we're not getting any rust or anything under the lid. And then I'm gonna pop that back there. Tomorrow, when we get more eggs that are just straight from the coop and fresh, we'll finish filling this up. If I need to, I'll just add a 1 ounce of the lime to 1 quart of water and continue filling or topping off the eggs. But you see what I'm saying? That lime doesn't fully dissolve and it does turn clear, but we have some eggs down in the bottom. Perfect. Let's move on to the next thing. Make sure you date your jars so that when you are opening and using these eggs later, you use the oldest ones first. Just good general practice. Many of you that follow me know that off and on I do something called Whole30. And when I do that, I don't consume dairy. One of the things I miss the most is cheese, specifically Parmesan cheese. If you have someone in your home that is allergic to milk proteins, like dairy proteins, eggs, although found in the dairy section, are not dairy. They do not come from cattle or sheep or goats or so on. They come from chickens, obviously. So a lot of times someone could have this cheese substitute instead of a milk-based cheese. Also, super high in protein, really, really good for you, and a great way to preserve some of your eggs, creating something yourself that you can do all year round, and you then have cheese. So what we're going to do is salt cure egg yolks. What am I gonna do with the egg whites? I'll show you in just a minute. What are we gonna do with all these eggshells? I'll show you that as well. But first, let's salt cure some eggs. What you'll need to salt cure eggs is a high quality sea salt. So I get this from Azure, and I just get it in the 50-pound bags. In fact, in my next order of Azure, because I didn't get it the last time because it broke open and poor trucker, salt everywhere. They are sending me a new bag of sea salt. So I have some to the side, and I have a container with an airtight snap-on lid. I have chosen from my chickens some eggs that are probably the same chicken or the same breed, plus these are the ones that lay in the nesting box, and I'm hoping for similar size yolks in order to do this. So what we're gonna do is come along and use the egg itself to make some divots. So we'll just do the first 3 divots, and then I'm gonna crack each one individually into a bowl, saving the shell, and then I'm gonna just gently pick up this egg yolk, and if it breaks, no big deal. The next recipe is going to use scrambled eggs. So I want to get that stringy white thing, look at that, just plop it in the little spot. And then reserve the egg whites. Now see, that one has been fertilized, which it's fine, just kind of has some spots, and we broke the yolk, so that goes into scrambled eggs. Now this recipe won't be finished on today's video, but I will do a follow-up, so make sure that you are following along. Right now would be a good time to kind of hit that subscribe button if you haven't. That way you are able to see the next step in these eggs. These are gonna go in the refrigerator covered with more salt for 7 days. So next Monday I'll pull them out, and then they're gonna go again another 7 to 10 days before they're actually ready to be made into cheese or grated. They're done by that point, I guess I should say. Oh, double yolker, I do think. Yep. All right, we have 9. Look at that, beautiful egg yolks. See how dark that one is? That was probably when the chickens were getting some salmon that I had frozen. Jeez, find my words. Okay, we're just gonna gently sprinkle over, and we're going to end up covering them, but I don't wanna just dump the salt on there. And then we're gonna just keep reusing this salt over and over and over to do lots and lots and lots of these. So we want to cover them with 1/4 of an inch of salt. Now, if you're following along and you're starting this with me, for next week, when we move on to the next step, you are gonna need some cheesecloth. So make sure that you have something along those lines prepared ahead of time, especially if you're in a location like we're in, where that might not just be readily available. Believe it or not, it's strange the things we can and can't get up here. And these are going to go into my cheese fridge for 7 days. All right, recipe number 3. I just washed all these eggs. I know how fresh they are because all of the eggs that were out on my countertop on Friday, today is Monday, on Friday I washed. I did the float test on them and they are in the refrigerator. Eggs need to be, okay, the closer they are to a month old, the better they are when you hard boil them, the easier they are to peel, so they say. Farm fresh eggs are just really difficult to peel. So in order to do a bunch of pickled eggs, I kind of let a bunch of them go for a little bit. So I know that these literally came from Saturday or Sunday, which it just goes to show you, we've filled almost a 1/2 gallon jar today from just the eggs we got today, and then we have just done 9, a bunch of broken ones, so on. Now the rest of them, minus, you know, I have some in the fridge. If we get to that point that we need eggs, we have some in the fridge. And wait till you see how many I have in the fridge. So I'm just gonna individually crack them and throw them in here. What we're gonna do now is just pre-make some eggs for egg sandwiches. We have realized, we went ice fishing yesterday, and we love like homemade bagels, as well as English muffins and all of those. And I make a lot of breakfast sandwiches that we will throw the sandwich in the freezer. Well, on today's video, I'm not going to obviously do a bunch of sourdough. What we're doing is eggs. But I thought, you know what, it's so easy for me to just go ahead and get these made up, throw them in the oven, and then freeze this pre-done scrambled. And then what we did when we were out there is, you know, I'll include a video right here. I'll show you how we did it. All right, what's for breakfast out here? So I literally just put a bunch of eggs in the oven at home. We pre-cooked the sausage. And then we're just heating up bagels out here. Toss it on. We got sandwiches. So super simple, just to be able to throw some eggs on and you heat them through with a little bit of cheese, and I can home make whatever breakfast we want. But you could even take like that scrambled egg, and that's now firm, but you could like just kind of mash it up a little bit and throw that in and make like breakfast burritos or whatever the case is. So we are almost done here. I have no idea how many eggs we've even done, but let's see, 6 cups is where it's measuring right now. 6 cups of eggs. Now I don't do dairy or milk in my scrambled eggs. Let me show you what I do. So you may be questioning, like, on any given morning, isn't it simpler to just throw the egg in the pan than reheat it? Yes, but doing it this way, so I just use like a big fork. I'm not super, I don't know. I don't need it like emulsified. None of that matters to me. In fact, I like when you cook the egg and you can tell that it was real and not a carton of something, but just this awesome farm fresh egg. So I just give it a good whisk. And then I take a sheet pan. I have one of the liners on there, but I do parchment. And you can do oil if you can't have a butter, but I like to just spread a little butter. So I started doing this, and the butter kind of bubbles up to the top in the oven. And then when I put it on the cast iron pan out in the woods or the lake or wherever we're at, it literally has enough just kind of butter on it that it doesn't stick. Nothing perfect. But you could use ghee, you could use avocado oil, or no oil at all, because the parchment's on here, the eggs won't actually stick, so it doesn't matter. So, next, pours the eggs. And then I season them up, so some salt. some crushed black pepper. Hey Cody.
What are you making?
A video. Some eggs for the freezer. You want some? I can make you a breakfast sandwich too when this gets out. And then we like crushed red peppers on ours. But you can season them however you like. Okay, and then into the oven, 350 degrees, maybe 20 minutes, just until the eggs are set. So what is next on the agenda? All of these egg shells. These make amazing either compost, part of your compost tea, whatever the case is. We want to save these though, and the way that I'm gonna do it is free and easy for a source that I already have and I'm already running in my house. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take these over, fill this with water, and I'm going to just rinse all of these eggshells. I'll bring you right back. So I have just pulled these that I did before, hear them? Oh my goodness, out of the wood cook stove. They are, the top of it, the warmer, runs about 200 degrees. And we just want these as dry as possible. Then I have my muddle. And you can do this a couple of ways. You can either put these in like a coffee grinder or do what I'm doing. We are breaking down our dried out eggshells, and then we're gonna put all those new fresh eggshells in here and let them go. And this is going to be food for our garden. And there is a lot of plants that really could use this calcium just right off the bat. So when spring we finally get planting, we're gonna take this jar of eggshells out there and we're gonna combine it into our compost and let it over time slowly feed our plants. So you can see here, we are filled it with water, we're rinsing. We are not worried about the shape. What we want is just any egg residue, but it is gonna dry far enough out that we shouldn't have any issues. You can also put these in a dehydrator or your oven at like 200 degrees, as low as possible until they're just dried out. Isn't that amazing that the chickens themselves, just the eggs, like wherever we're at in the process of the video, is they are feeding us, right? Obviously, but they're feeding us so many different ways, so many ways to use an egg. And then we're able to preserve it for the future with the egg shortage that we've been through, being able to have, because my chickens are young now, but they should slow down a little bit on their winter laying the older that they get. And so maybe next winter isn't such a great amount of eggs. So having some preserved and put away, I've given away an average of like 30 eggs a week to anyone that needs them. My gardening class, neighbors, you name it. If someone needs eggs, I just give them away. But it's also super nice to be able to have it all these different ways, things that you're enjoying, preservation methods with very little effort. Like I can just crack a few eggs, rinse them, and throw them in this until I'm ready to muddle them. But super simple. Then they're gonna feed my plants. The chickens just feed everything. Hardworking ladies, absolutely love them. I I checked the eggs after 15 minutes. They needed a few more, so this is them after 20 minutes is all. After the eggs cool completely, if you try to cut them, they let off so much moisture. It doesn't cut very well when they're hot, but it only takes a couple of minutes for the eggs to cool completely. These are really large sheet pans for us, so I'm not quite sure at home how many you will get or if you would even fit 6 cups of eggs onto your sheet pan. But I just cut it 6 one way and then 4 the other. So I'm going to get 24 breakfast sandwiches out of this sheet of eggs. And then because the boys may eat 1 or 2 sandwiches, I pack them in 6 sandwiches. So we do 6 per bag, and then I use 1 big bag and just label them eggs. And when we're ready to go, I just grab out 1 little baggie of eggs. I can throw them in the refrigerator to defrost, take them with us someplace. However, frozen, ready to go sandwiches are key around here, and they are such a lifesaver. So make sure you're preserving some of your farm fresh eggs by putting them in the freezer. I could have had these scrambled. I could have done it 100 different ways. The whole point is remember that your freezer is an option for saving your farm fresh eggs. One last thought before moving forward. If you have struggled to find eggs as of recent, they're now back in stock and they're on sale, at least around here. All of the preservation methods except water glassing would work for store-bought eggs. So get yourself some eggs stored up for your future. Because like I said, I let all of the eggs go for about a month. Before I hard boil these eggs, I am going to do a float test. What that means is I put all of the eggs with enough water to make sure that they are sinking. And what we want is these farm fresh eggs, we want them to sink down to the bottom. Any egg that floats doesn't necessarily mean that the egg is bad. It could have an air pocket in it. It could have something. However, we are not going to cook and eat it for human consumption. If the egg floats, because I do know the dates of these eggs, I am just going to feed it to the dog, unless, of course, I see a crack in it. It could have frozen. Something could have happened with the eggs. So when using farm fresh eggs, make sure you do a float test in order to, before you hard boil them. Because once you pack all of them in the pan, the ones who want to float aren't necessarily going to float. Like I said, we've been collecting these eggs for about a month. I broke one, of course, and left that to the side. But anything that floats or whatever, I pull it out. But we are so excited to start pickling eggs. When we get to the pickle part, there is a million, I kid you not, million different ways to pickle eggs. We are just going to show you the simplicity of it here today. But if you don't like spicy eggs, that doesn't mean you can't use the method. It just simply means look for something that doesn't have the spice, that maybe is a little more simple for you and your family. Do it how you like is what I always say. I'll show you a method and then you adapt it for you and your family. I'm going to explain how to hard boil an egg. Just ignore it if you already know how to do it or you have a method. But for those of you who have never hard boiled an egg, it is so simple. All you do is place the eggs in the pan and make sure that the temperature that you fill your egg pan with matches the inside temperature of the eggs. So if your eggs are cold out of the fridge like mine, we're going to fill the pan with cold water. So the eggs are heating up at the same time as the water. The other thing is, because we're going to be pickling these eggs, we hard boil them a little bit longer than you would for something like a deviled egg, and certainly for something like a soft boiled egg. So we are going to fill the eggs with water, put them on to boil. When it reaches the boiling point, for eggs that are going to be pickled, we are going to do 10 minutes. And then immediately we are going to dump the hot water from the eggs, and we are going to shock them so that they peel really well. For us, we have some snow. You might do a hot water bath method or a blanching method where you have ice water that you put that egg in and you let it cool completely in the cold ice water before you try and peel the egg. All right, we are gonna try and peel the eggs. I have a trash bowl here. Oh, perfect. It has been an incredibly long day and we are finally ready to pack our half-gallon sterile, clean, these have never been used, half-gallon jars with our eggs. And then we're gonna see how many we ended up with. And as a bonus for dinner, I have some of the mistakes where, let me show you. When peeling the egg, the yolk had like gotten too close and it got too thin. We don't want to pickle that because of the exposure. So instead, we're gonna turn these into deviled eggs. All right, so for each jar, we are going to do 1 jalapeno, 1 habanero. So I'm just gonna pull the stem off and then kind of just run my knife through it. And then 1 serrano. And I'm just gonna half that guy. And then 5 cloves of garlic. So we're gonna layer this in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 18, and then I am gonna do fresh dill. Okay, 24. So 2 dozen eggs. Let's do it again. Like I was saying before, there is a million different ways to pickle the eggs. I have even seen them pickled with just straight vinegar, a little bit of salt and pepper, maybe some sugar, and people keep them out on their countertops. There are so many ways to do this. What I'm hoping you gain from this is the simplicity of it, and go ahead and try it. If you like a super, super spicy pickled egg, maybe this is the recipe for you. If not, make them a little sweeter version whatever it is that works for you. But I definitely recommend trying this, especially with Easter and all the eggs and stuff coming up. Now would be a good time to try out a different pickled egg recipe. We gotta peel a few of the eggs out because I forgot to do some of the seasonings in the bottom. So 2 teaspoons of red pepper flakes and a teaspoon of peppercorns. For the brine, we are doing 1-to-1 water and vinegar. So, because our personal favorite vinegar is actually apple cider vinegar, we have about 5 cups of that, and then 3 cups of distilled white vinegar. So I'm going to do 4 tablespoons of sea salt. And about 1.5 cups of sugar. As well as 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. We're gonna bring this to a boil and then we will seal our jars. Two recommendations. 1, taste your brine. Make sure it is sweet enough and salty enough and that it really is what you want your eggs to taste like. And you can always zhuzh it up from this point before you put it on the eggs if you would like. And then the other thing is I made too much brine. Whoa, no, what do we do now? The measurements were excellent. It tasted so delicious, which means the eggs are going to be delicious. However, all I do with the additional brine is I put it in a mason jar, store that in the fridge because it's just vinegar and sugar and it will preserve or hold just like a pickle. And when I have enough eggs that I can do another jar, I am going to just heat up the brine, fill the next jar with the brine, and nothing is wasted because it is this good, delicious, beautiful apple cider vinegar from Azure. And I just honestly, for a while we couldn't get white vinegar here, so I don't want to waste any of these ingredients. So if you have a little too much brine, just save it to the side, put it in your fridge, and heat it up. Use it again for your next batch. As a reminder, these eggs need to go for at least 2 weeks and then on into however long it takes you to eat them. But let them go 2 weeks before you taste them. So there we have it, folks. We were trying to do the math and figure out how many eggs we used today, and it probably is close to 10 dozen, something like that. So we are going to leave these as soon as they cool down, because we don't want to put them this hot in the fridge. We're going to choose to store ours in the fridge. You can, they say, leave these at room temperature in a cool, dark place, such as your pantry. We're gonna store ours in the fridge, and in 2 weeks, we will let you know how they turned out. If you are interested in anything else we have going on our homestead, all of the cooking that we do, the hunting, the fishing, this Alaska life, building with us, please hit that subscribe button. When you ring the bell, you'll get notifications. Give us thumbs up and comments. All those things help our channel to grow. We will catch you in the next video. Bye for now.